I'll call it podcasts, but using
Sure.
podcasts, YouTube shows, whatever you want to call them, I think that's certainly helping. Let's face it, these are not the best of times economically for people. And so, I also heard a priest say one time in church um, that it's unfortunate how many people say, oh, well, I guess all we have left to do is pray. He was saying that should be the first action you take, not a last resort. So I think people are turning to prayer in challenging times, and it's kind of awakening them to the fact that, oh yeah, I can pray anytime. Coupling that with what I was just saying, that the more that athletes start to speak out about it, and it doesn't even have to be athletes. I mean, look at the success that Jonathan Rumi is having with The Chosen. So when
Right.
someone like him speaks, it kind of wakens people up that, wow, this guy's Catholic. Um, and remind me what the second question was. Does it excite me? It does excite me
Yeah.
because, you know, I get so jazzed about talking to a new guest every week to begin with, because I'm so blessed to have that front row seat that I get to hear every episode, and I get to hear every word of every episode. So I get to hear everybody's testimony. And so the more that there's kind of this demand out there, and the more that there's this interest, this curiosity, it excites me because I already have the spark to want to keep on going with Catholic Sports Radio. I've never missed a week in more than 7 years of doing it. And people say, "Do you think you'll give it up soon, though?" And I think, why? Why would I? No,
Right.
I'd miss out on some really cool stories. And when I get some of these guests that I think, wow, how did I get him? How did I get her? Because they're relatively high profile. That excites me, and I think, well,
Right.
this could lead, right. So now we're coming full circle with the beginning when you asked me about getting guests. And so if I can get these high profile people to turn me on to other high profile people, I mean, you hope that there's going to be this snowball effect. So it's kind of that excitement within the unknown.
Sure. Yep. No, I can see that point. I mean, I have that too with just the show here too. Is even when people like you come back, it's always good to see them and hear what they've been up to lately. And so I'll I'll make this the last question for you, Bruce. Is that about going back to your show? Have you had um guests on twice, or have they all been new guests on for the whole 7 years?
It's been exceptionally rare that I've had a guest on twice.
Wow.
Um, I remember early on, somewhere in the first 100 episodes, there was someone that I had on twice because she was, I guess I'll say, she was close enough. She was not a sports psychologist, but she was close enough that I thought it would be fascinating to do with her what you and I have sort of been doing, and to talk around the behaviors of people, right? The person who goes to church in the morning on Sunday and then comes home and they're a raving lunatic a few hours later watching an NFL game. Um, I absolutely can count on one hand how many people have been on twice. Um, Part of that is my desire to get as many news stories out there as I can. I think some of it could also be a criticism of my format, that we do cover, I don't want to say everything, but typically I find myself going from hey, tell us about where you were born and raised and what the family size was, and the upbringing, the Catholic faith in your household, and then you did this in high school, and then you played college sports over here. And I kind of feel like, well, we kind of covered everything in the first one. um,
Sure.
but I think when the day comes when I start to fear that, oh my gosh, the potential guest list, I have a Microsoft Excel sheet that's called potential guests. I think when that starts to become thin, maybe I will revisit some of the past guests and say, it's been a long time. This person's obviously had new developments in their life in the last X number of years. He or she was a good interview. Let me bring them back.